Hey there, this is the One Boom, and today we're going to be talking about Vanguard's Gunsmith? This can't be right, I can't rant about this. It looks like we're going to be looking at a game mechanic this video, and that's odd because I don't really know how to talk about things without outright just saying how bad they are and then spending 10 minutes justifying my opinion to you guys. But let's give this a try anyway. Vanguard's Gunsmith was a point of contention on this channel from the very beginning. As soon as I heard that there was going to be 10 attachments in the Gunsmith, I immediately just gave up on the game, because I don't trust Sledgehammer to balance things. Hell, at this point I don't expect any of the 3 dev studios handling Call of Duty to balance their weapons properly, let alone with 10 attachments. But now, after playing the game for quite a while, I'm able to honestly say most of my fears didn't end up coming true. Some of them did, and we'll get into those, but let's first talk about what the Gunsmith in Vanguard really is. This is not weapon customization, as much as it is weapon building. You are not taking a weapon and tweaking it and adding things to it as much as you are taking a weapon and building it into the weapon you want to use. Now, yes, that's still customization, but let's not get hung up on semantics. What I'm trying to say is that you are building the gun from the ground up because you choose from 0 to 10 every attachment slot on each one of your weapons. This is different from previous Call of Duty games where you decide what optic you want, or if you have an optic, you can't have a suppressor. You have a suppressor, you can't have a foregrip. If you have a foregrip, you can't have the quick draw grip or the stock or whatever. In this game, you can just fill out every single slot. Now, you could kind of do the same thing in Black Ops Cold War, but that wasn't by default. And Cold War's changes, weapon-wise, weren't as drastic as Vanguard's. So for instance, in Vanguard, you can choose a magazine type that holds more ammo, but of a smaller ammunition, which increases fire rate and things of that sort, decreases bullet velocity and damage range. Basically, you can take some guns and sub-cal them or up-cal them. I don't know if up-cal's the right word. But then after you pick the caliber, you can choose what type of that caliber you're gonna be firing. Lengthened for bullet velocity, incendiary for garbage, or hollow point for pointless. But then you choose your barrel, and your barrel could make your gun more accurate, give it more headshot damage, give it more body damage and less headshot damage. It could increase your fire rate, lower your fire rate, and it goes on from there. And then just about every gun in the game can have the recoil booster attachment, which is a muzzle attachment that increases your fire rate. So if you want to make the Cooper carbine fire at 1300 RPM, you just go ahead and do that, I guess. Now you might be asking, is that really realistic? And if you have to ask, then you didn't know enough to care about it in the first place. No, it's not realistic, but more importantly, is it a ton of fun? Yes, making a BAR fire 50 BMG, or even better, making an MG42 fire 13mm anti-material rounds. Then add the proficiency, which increases the destruction that each round causes. That way you can just tear through walls like they're made of paper. It's fun, but I will say it does get a little bit goofy at times. Yeah. Sometimes. The problem with this Gunsmith is that it does take away from that World War II feeling. If you wanted this game to feel like Band of Brothers or Saving Private Ryan, I have news for you, buddy. It's not going to. People are gonna be running around with the craziest fucking weapons you've ever seen in a Call of Duty game, with some of the most gaudy camos that I've ever seen in an FPS game. This is by far the ugliest weapon I have picked up in this game. Now for replayability, honestly this adds a lot for me personally. I can grind Vanguard for hours trying to make sure I have all the attachments for the gun I want to use, and then I can spend a long time playing with different combinations to get different effects from each gun. Like, I personally am not bothered by a lack of authenticity in an FPS game. I sometimes don't like the aesthetics, and a lot of times my weapons that I end up maining are weapons that look really cool to me. They look authentic, they look believable. Like, here's one of my favorite Thompson builds. It's not as meta, it's not as competitive, but when I'm holding it and firing it and reloading it, it just looks and sounds and just feels good, while still being, like, pretty damn competitive in the meta. Here's my favorite way to run the M1 Garand, and yeah, I think it looks kinda cool. I think part of the fun of Vanguard's Gunsmith, if you're really interested in making your guns look and feel authentic, is finding the perfect combo of attachments that doesn't break the aesthetic of the gun, but still works in the meta and still is competitive against the sweats you're gonna meet online. It can be hard, but it's definitely doable. But you know what else is fun? sinning right in front of God. I think that's why I like this game's Gunsmith, is that I don't agree with a lot of the weird customization options they've added. I don't really want to run most of the variants in the game because they just take me out of the experience. But if I get bored, I can make a really cursed piece of shit and then kill people with it. So that's kind of neat. It strikes that perfect balance for me between player agency and believability. Like, they could have easily cut like 15 to 20 attachments off of each gun to make it a little bit more grounded, a little bit more sane, but then I couldn't make stuff that looks like this. But on screen right now, you are looking at the biggest issue with this attachment system. You see, they let you pile 10 attachments on your weapon, but some attachments will have 4 pros and 4 cons, meaning you could technically get up to around 60 to 100 different pros and cons stacked onto your weapon, making guns comically lightweight or comically heavy, giving a gun a massive downside with one attachment and then making it right with the others, essentially making the downside on the first one irrelevant. I think the best thing they could have done in this game is simplified what each attachment was. Giving every attachment a single pro and a single con, or maybe just a pro, would have been, in my opinion, a lot better. But instead we have muzzle attachments that are doing 4 things to your gun all at once. This makes it hard to pay attention to what you're actually doing. Like, yeah, this is increasing my accuracy and my damage range, but it's hurting my sprint to fire and hip fire accuracy. So I guess I'll go down to a different attachment that does something similar, but doesn't hurt me quite so much. And this is where you start to get a lot of shovel attachments that maybe you might use to get a certain look on your gun, but practically are just overly complicated and don't make a lot of sense in a competitive shooter. Like, I personally believe the lengthened ammo type to be a complete mistake to have in the game on almost every gun. Because some weapons should excel at close range, but because of that bullet velocity mechanic that we've been dealing with since Black Ops 4, certain guns should be worse at longer ranges. Being able to increase my bullet velocity by 30% on every gun means my SMGs stay competitive at mid-range, even if I've tweaked the hell out of them and used odd ammo types that should be hurting my bullet velocity. So essentially, I can hurt my bullet velocity 3 different ways, and then correct it with a single attachment that, again, I'm not really taking any trade-offs for. But the best thing that came out of this Gunsmith is something I mentioned in an earlier video, which I've been trying to disprove over time through my play sessions and live streams of this game. I've been trying to figure out whether or not I was right about what I'm about to say, and I really do feel like I am. Because of this attachment system, because of the way Gunsmith works in this game, every weapon has the ability to be overpowered, and I think that's kind of special. If a gun really sucks and has a ton of downsides, go through the pain of leveling it up, progressing it, and when you get to the end, you'll be able to enjoy it. You'll be able to right its wrongs and make up for its cons with some better pros. Lower the recoil, raise the fire rate, increase the range, change the bullet velocity. It just takes a bit of a grind. And to finalize this video, that grind is what I believe to be the worst part of the Gunsmith for some people. Now, the reason I say this is the worst part is that if you're one of those people that doesn't like hardcore grinding FPS games or any game right now, you just, you believe less is more and you don't want your time to just go into a grind toilet. Yeah, Vanguard's a grind toilet. I think the term is time sink, but either way, it's a lot of time to get these weapons up to a competitive level sometimes. Some weapons are good right out of the box, like the DP-27, and other guns are the Sten, which I think honestly require all 70 levels to become worthwhile. If you're like me, you love grinding towards something with every kill you get, and getting a gun to a high level while learning it and becoming well acquainted with its ups and downs, that's fun for me, that's good gameplay for me, but it's not for everybody, and that's why it's the biggest. If it's really not for you, it's really not for you, and nothing I say about this Gunsmith system is gonna make up for the fact that it requires a lot of gameplay. Maybe you wanna make really competitive weapons or really cursed quirky weapons, and you just can't because you don't have the hours to put into the MP40, the Sten, the Kar98, the BAR, so the guns just feel pointless, useless, boring, until you put in so many hours. Yeah, I get it. Trust me, I get it. So my end statement on the Gunsmith in this game. Honestly, it's a lot of fun. I think it should be simpler, and I think the weapon leveling should be a bit faster, but I like that every weapon I have used so far and gotten up to level 70 feels competitive. I don't feel like I'm being completely squashed by other people's weapons. Either way, thank you so much for coming out and watching this video. Please feel free to subscribe, hit the bell icon. We're gonna do more discussionary videos and more topics and rants, and it would just be a lot more fun to upload videos if you were watching them. So, subscribe. See you later. Bye.